You okay, fuckers and fuckettes. Somebody double dog dared me to put up my views on law enforcement. And since he's a relative by marriage, I ain't gonna mention his name or anything like that, but he happens to be district commander for a state patrol. I ain't gonna say which one. Yeah, alright, I'll take that dare, because his wife happens to be a pretty close relative, and I'll never hear the end of it if I don't, because she'll give me shit. My views are like this. I have the utmost respect for the officer who picks up that badge, and from that time until the time he puts it down for good, he obeys every single law that he is supposed to be upholding. And I have the utmost respect for the officer. When he's writing his statements, he's not collaborating with his buddy. He's writing his statement as he saw it, and he's telling the truth. Simple as that. The officers who do not have my respect are the ones that I don't care if you're on duty or not. If you're speeding, you're violating the laws that you're supposed to be upholding. If you're on a call and you're speeding, that's acceptable. If you're not on a call and you're speeding, trying to make it to the fucking donut shop, kiss my ass, you ain't got no respect coming, because you just violated one or more of the laws that you're supposed to be enforcing. You know, that ain't right. You know, if you're on somebody's property past the no trespassing sign in the state of Florida, you're a felon at that point, because you're on duty and you're carrying a weapon. If you're off duty and you're not carrying a weapon, you're still guilty of a misdemeanor at the bare minimum. And I don't care if you can't obey the very laws that you're supposed to uphold. Fuck you. You got no respect coming. You know, you got officers busting up people's cell phones over in Miami, and the one kid on YouTube, he was smart enough to stick that card in his mouth and got that shit up there on YouTube. All them officers got was some administrative leave instead of fucking felony destruction of property, because that's what it was. Some of those phones are $700 and $800, and they were carrying firearms at the time. So, you know, so there's a 5 years for the firearms enhancement right there. One officer pulled a gun. You know, that makes it a 10-year offense. That makes his fellow officers guilty as accessories because they failed to arrest him. And that's another thing that will cause you to lose my respect. If you see one of your fellow officers committing a crime, I don't care if it's just assault, I don't care what it is, then you've lost my respect right there. Because you're just, at that point in time, you're just as guilty as that motherfucker is. And, you know, I know that honest cops don't make it very far. I know that the more you lie, the better chance you've got of making rank, because you've gotten this bust or that bust. But when you're writing them statements, if you tell a lie, which all of you do, I mean, even the most honest among you do. I've defense and justice contractor, 22 goddamn years. Granted, most of them I've seen were at the federal level, but I have seen some state and city and county officers doing the same shit. They'll be sitting there talking to each other about it while they're writing their statements so that they can make sure that they wrote down the same thing. That's an outright lie right there. Even if you are basically telling the truth, you need to tell pure D truth. You need to tell what you saw as you saw it, not what your buddy saw. I mean, that right there would get rid of a lot of the corruption in the police departments today, and that right there would get rid of a lot of the feeling that the officers get that they're above the law. And unfortunately, yeah, you seem to be above the law because prosecutors won't touch you. You know, your buddies will sit there and make that prosecutor's life a living hell if he does. You know damn well that 99% of your cases, they're going to be stuck with a public pretender, because can't no average American afford a fucking lawyer. And the ones that can, yeah, they generally get off, and I understand that lawyers lie. I understand that prosecuting attorneys are still lawyers and they lie. I don't give a shit. That's just, I don't think it's right that a prosecuting attorney would have to tell a lie, but they do all the time. And those are the ones that lose my respect. I still have a Westlaw subscription. I don't do any volunteer work for the ACLU anymore because my health is fucking up, but I probably would if I still could. And I've seen firsthand where officers have sat there. You know, when I had my bar, you had an officer in there one night. He was drunker than all hell. I mean, tore up from the floor up, doesn't even begin to describe his condition. And we all offered him a ride. We offered to call his family, someone he could trust to give him a ride. And he just waved his badge around and said, I ain't going to jail, they ain't gonna bother me. And he was right. You know, because y'all do look out for your own, and I understand that. That's just like the club I belong to. We look out for our own very well. I ain't gonna mention the name of that club, but half of y'all know. But you see, the difference between you and us is we are honest in what we do. You know, you got people like me. I just sit here and work on my motorcycles. The worst you're ever gonna catch me for is smoking a little weed, and fuck, I'm doing that. I go right up there on that sand island by the sheriff's dock, pick what I want, smoke it right there. You ain't never gonna catch me carrying nothing with me because I don't do it. I don't plant the shit there. I just know where it's at because one of y'all pointed it out to me, and granted, that's a relative. But it ain't cultivated, it's just wild. Somebody probably threw their bag out somewhere along the line, and I ain't even checked it this year because I don't have a boat this year. Every now and then somebody might come over with a joint and I'll smoke it. And yeah, I lost my license for a long fucking time. I got it back. Can't get insurance now as a result, but hey, motorcycles don't require insurance in the state of Florida. When that changes, I'll quit riding because I am a law-abiding citizen. But like I say, I was double dog dared to express my opinion, and that is my opinion. Those officers who actually obey the laws that they are supposed to uphold, they have earned my respect. Now, if you want to disobey those laws, put that badge down for good, and then disobey them. And I'll still respect you because you ain't a police anymore. And that's just what you do, and that ain't none of my business. But as long as you're wearing that badge, you ain't got no respect coming if you're breaking the laws that you're supposed to uphold, no matter how small. It's as simple as that. So, you know, a lot of y'all ain't gonna like that I said that. A lot of y'all ain't gonna like the fact that I called you liars. But I've been alongside many of y'all, mostly at the federal level, like I said. I have never met a single officer at any level that obeys all of the laws that they are supposed to be upholding. But when I do, I will shake that motherfucker's hand and do anything I can for him. Until then, you know, hey, we tolerate each other. Y'all tolerate me running around on motorcycles. You know I ain't bothering nobody. The worst drink you don't catch me with is a Pepsi. Well, okay, every now and then I do them nice power drinks and monsters, but you can't carry the monsters in that little stupid cup holder on the gold one. You know, and you catch me racing, it's out at the casinos these days, because y'all pretty much made it miserable on the kids down at Target Warehouse, which, okay, you're doing your job there. But let's look at how many officers made unlawful stops doing that. You know, if they're not over the speed limit, you know, you can claim probable cause all you want just because a bunch of sport bikes and crotch rockets are leaving a private property warehouse where they were racing doesn't mean that they're going to be doing it on the streets. And I think that one kid getting a ticket for fucking 46 miles an hour in a 45 was bullshit, but I do understand that you wanted to take him in and run him through NCIC because he did at one time have a warrant, but he had taken care of that. Yeah, I'm really familiar with that case because I know the kid personally, and that was me that bailed his ass out of jail that night. Well, I was behind the money, but I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't known that, you know, that kid was working for a living. He was making his money, honestly. Every day he went to work. He got a wife and he got 2 little fucking kids. He's got 3 now. But, you know, if he'd have been in jail for 30 days or 60 days or, you know, even just for 4 or 5 days, he'd have lost his job. You know, you guys got to think when you do shit like that. I understand you trying to run him through, but hell, if you know where he lives, run him, let him pass and run him on through. You know, give him the ticket, whatever you're going to do. But don't haul their ass in and fuck up their whole life. You know, I understand what you're doing, and I half-ass respect that because you're trying to protect the public or some shit, but at the same time, I don't think that shit's right. I mean, you could have fucked that kid's life up for good. Not for good, but for quite a while. And a lot of y'all ain't gonna like what I just said, but it's the God's honest truth. I have the utmost respect for the officers who obey the laws that they are supposed to be enforcing. And they need to obey them whether on duty or off, from the time that they pick up that badge until the time they put it down for good, if they want my full respect. Otherwise, the respect that I give is nothing more than a courtesy, just like the respect that you give me is nothing more than a courtesy. You know, and I understand that I have gotten away with shit in the past because I flip out my ID and y'all kind of just, alright, wink, nod, go on your way. As long as it's just a, you know, misdemeanor speeding or some bullshit. But at the same time, I don't think that that's right. Granted, I'll take advantage of it, but that still don't make it right. And, you know, most kids, you know, I see this DARE program in schools and stuff. Hell, y'all are teaching them how to do drugs. That's plain and simple. That shit don't work. You know, and by the time most kids are 10 or 12 years old, they know that the more an officer lies, the better chance that officer has of getting rank. The more an officer violates the laws he's supposed to be enforcing, the more better chance he stands of getting rank. And I don't think that it's right that the system is that way, but it's part of the system, and we all have to put up with that. It still don't make it right. If I've done one thing with this video, besides meeting a double dog dare, I hope that, you know, at least one of you officers watching this will eventually at some point go, hey, is that the honest and right thing to do? Or am I telling a fucking lie? Or you'll at least think, oh shit, I'm doing fucking 65 and 45, I'm not on a call, and slow your ass down to the speed limit. You know, and it's not just on little things like that, but, you know, think. If you want people to respect you, think about how to earn that respect, because that respect isn't a given. You know, respect gained by fear is not actual respect. Respect gained by admiration for what you're doing, that's true respect. And there's a big difference. I'll let y'all fuckers and fuckheads later.